to the Unleash Greatness podcast with your host, Jonathan Mitchell. The best in personal, emotional, spiritual, and business development.
Well, everyone. It is I, Jonathan Mitchell. This is Unleash Greatness. Thank you so much for joining in. Today is Wednesday, which is book review day. So as you know, listening in, we have 5 episodes a week. So Monday is interview day. I get to find a guest who inspires me and just interview them. Tuesday is MBA Musings Day, which I talked about yesterday, the power versus influence. Today is book review day. Today's book is Write It Down, Make It Happen by Henriette Anne Klauser. Very, very good book. Tomorrow is going to be story time, and then Friday is spiel day, where I get to talk about whatever topic comes to mind on that day. And today's book I'm super excited about. Today's show is also sponsored by naturalmedicinemoms.com. For any help or products around natural or alternative medicine, please check it out. Amazing stuff, men, women, children. They're going to love it. So again, today, thank you so much for listening, and here we get going. Hello, everyone. So again, thank you so much for listening in. I just want to say a heartfelt thank you for just joining us on the podcast. Anybody who listens in, I'm just very, very grateful you take the time to do so. I try to keep these a little bit short and make sure you have time enough to listen to it, because I know everyone's busy, but hopefully these inspire you and help you to move, progress, move forward, just have a better life. So I hope that's working for you. Give me any feedback you have. Go to unleashg.com and let me know what you think. Again, just want to say thank you. Today is Wednesday, which is book review day. I have in front of me the book called Write It Down, Make It Happen by Henriette Anne Klauser, a very, very good book that my sister actually gave to me. Interesting about going into using writing as a way to access the subconscious mind and to release ideas and to help succeed with goals and other type of stuff. So I'm going to read a couple of things from this, because some of the places in here are much better if I read them as opposed to try to summarize them. The whole point of the book is about, it's not about making to-do lists. It's not about time management. It's more about clearing out what's going on with you in your head, identifying what you want, setting intention moving forward, and by believing, helping in the possibility of something happening. So our author here, Henriette Anne Klauser, PhD, shows you how to write your own life script, which is kind of cool. And she talks about the importance of writing it physically, not just typing it. In our digital age anymore, I don't know. I don't usually write physically very often, if ever, for a long time. I either type it or I, text it or something. But she talks about the power of actually writing it and how there's an emotional connection to writing versus typing, which I would, again, agree with energetically. But very, very cool book. So she talks about different strategies to use in order to use this. If you joined us last week, the book I used or I did the book review on last week was The Artist's Way, which talked about the power and importance of morning pages. So I just wanted to kind of compound the lesson on writing in the morning by using this book, because that's one of the things she actually suggests is making sure you write in the morning as well. But she also goes into detail about other things, like how when they talk about psychologists talking about how most people succeed when they write more information down, or when they write their goals down. There's a power, there's an energy behind that she talks about in this book. So I'm going to start from one of the first chapters. She talks about, this is under page 47, talk about touching the divine. She says, why is it sometimes so hard to formulate a goal to spell out what we want, which I definitely feel. Are we so unsure of our desires, or do we think we are not worthy? Are we afraid of being greedy? Any one of these might apply, but it depends on what you're going through. Inherently, all of us are afraid of the divine. There's a power in asking for these incredible things. I keep coming back to the term shadow artists. All of us, to one degree or another, live in the rear mezzanine of our lives. There's a constant movement towards the light on the stage, the divine light on stage, if you will. Even as we are drawn to the light, it frightens us and we shy away. I see all the time people minimizing their dreams. Very interesting. I don't know if you guys do that, but I definitely have felt that way sometimes too. So she goes on to say subconscious speaks to us in many ways. For different people, it's writing a play. For other people, it's writing music. It just depends on what's going on. But it's all about giving yourself permission and access to ask different questions, like, how do you know what you want? How do you know what your goals are? How can you focus down on a slew of ideas, and which one is important, which one's the most important? Even if you're not sure what you want, let alone how to get there from here, let your writing help point the way of what you can do to follow. So one of the suggestions she has was, again, the morning pages. Early in the morning, writing a perfect vehicle for crystallizing your desires. Set the clock for a time 15 minutes before you ordinarily rise and go to do whatever, and start writing as soon as you wake up. Bring the pad and pen right into bed with you. Write sleepy, twilight zone thoughts. Write about the irritation in your eyes if your eyes hurt. If you wish to go back to sleep, write about that. These are warm-up stretching motions before the exercise begins, because after you run out of things to complain about, your pen moves and starts giving you some useful direction. Do this faithfully for 2 weeks without rereading what you wrote, and then at the end of 2 weeks, read it over and notice a pattern. Second thing is, frame 3 questions about your life, write them down, fold them, and place them randomly in numbered envelopes. Over a period of several days or even weeks, meditate and then look up or write a quick story about whatever catches your eye or comes to your mind. After you have written the story, open up one of the envelopes and see what questions you have answered. Again, read Laura Day's Practical Intuition for details on this technique. So it's another book called Practical Intuition, but one of the strategies was writing down a question, and then as you meditate or in the next couple of weeks, look at something that catches your eye and then write a story about it. Very, very interesting. She goes on to say, through your writing, your subconscious is letting you know what you want. Writing speaks to us, gives us clues, sometimes in roundabout ways. Listen carefully. Use your writing to interpret the symbols given to you. And think big. Don't be afraid to touch the divine in your own life. As Nelson Mandela said, your playing small does not serve the world. Who are you not to be great? Love, love, love it. So again, a big thing she goes into is emptying the mind, giving yourself the permission and space to talk about, or at least to write down, the issues you might be going through or anything you might be struggling with. Give yourself permission to clear out your mind of whatever is going on. This also helps you crystallize a little bit more your desires of what you want to do. So one other book I'll talk about, I think I may have talked about it already, The Jackrabbit Factor, talks about writing down your gratitude statements in a futuristic statement. So as an example would be, instead of saying, I am grateful that someday I'll have whatever money or whatever job or whatever relationship, it's saying the present tense, saying, I am grateful that I am now currently in my dream job or in my dream relationship or making lots of money or whatever the case might be. Which she goes into this as well, as using gratitude and writing it down to make sure everything's okay. There's also a way to use writing in order to cipher out some thoughts. So one of the examples she gives is this lady that talks about her soulmate. So this lady wrote a message to her soulmate every day about saying, I'm supposed to, as an example, she writes this letter to her soulmate that she hasn't met yet and says, my task lately has been to get rid of old ghosts. Before I can be free to be with you, I need to let go of the past. That's what scares me now. I'm in the abyss. I'm lost and in the state of between of then and now. The major preparation has been to acknowledge how afraid I am to love you and your physical being. You can see how I create distractions to be with you. So she comes up with all these insightful things about herself, saying, I want to be with my soulmate, but I have these things coming up in my life that are holding me back. And so this lady continues to write to her soulmate as she kind of processes herself to make sure she can get rid of her junk emotionally so that she can manifest, bring forth, tune in, whatever you want to call it, bring that person into her life, call them forth, which is very interesting indeed. I would say, I'm going to add on to this just for my own thoughts, and then I'll probably be done with this book, and I just dropped it. I'm so sorry about that. My thoughts are, if you have anything in your life that you may have, this is like mixing what she's talking about in this with what's called Gestalt therapy, where you actually write to something in your life that you may be frustrated with or even that you want to accomplish. So let's just take an example of money, or let's just stick with money for a second. Whatever your relationship with money is right now, if it's good, bad, ugly, awesome, could be better, whatever. And if you want to make more or whatever it is, start writing letters to money and just saying, maybe the first couple are just frustrating letters saying, I never have enough of you and blah, 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 blah. And all this debt, and I owe you to everyone else. You never come hang out with me. You'll start to find patterns of feelings you have around money, and those feelings around money are usually focused towards someone else, like a parent or a friend or something. But there's some frustrating feeling that is manifesting itself through your relationship with money, but it's usually towards someone else, which is very insightful if you let yourself do that. But it doesn't matter what you write about. You could have, like my sister is struggling with going back and forth with cancer. I have her do this all the time, help her process her emotions around cancer, to write to cancer and be like, I hate your guts and blah, 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 blah. And then she writes a gratitude statement to cancer. Like, she has this relationship with this entity of cancer, and it helps her process all of her emotions around it. It can be any type of sickness. It can be your dead parent you may have issues with. It could be money, like some sort of object that actually has no form whatsoever. It doesn't matter what you write to. If you have something in your life that you feel like is holding you back, write to that person, thing, entity, energy, whatever. That thing that's holding you back, write to it. Allow yourself to be brutally honest with that thing, entity, or whatever. It could even be God. I've had one coaching client once that just went off on God. So he had these issues, had things happen, deaths in the family, whatever, and had these things. He's like, I'm going to write to God. And he eventually found himself getting a stronger relationship with his faith, but he was very honest in his letters saying, I can't believe you did this, can't believe you did that. And then he came to a space of gratitude as well, where he came to a place of saying, thank you for this and thank you for that. Give yourself the space to let yourself write physically what you're going through and who you're talking to or whatever else is going on. This is a massively powerful exercise if you allow yourself and if you give yourself to it. So 2 assignments I'm going to give to you from this book. One is, again, the morning pages. Let yourself get up, and once you go through the complaining process, watch and see what insights come to you as you're just kind of in bed waiting for it to get up. Secondly, if there's an entity, energy, thing, person, experience, event, I don't care what it is, God, money, relationships, mom and dad who are alive, maybe mom and dad who are dead, sisters, uncles, aunts, babysitters, I don't care. Whoever it is, if you have any type of strained feelings or emotions that are stuck, or you feel like you can't move on from like an ex or something, write to them and let yourself have the permission to be blunt, honest, and say exactly how you feel. I don't care if you take those pages and if you burn them afterwards so that no one can see them afterwards. I don't care. Give yourself the permission to be honest, write it out, and let yourself process it. And as you do that, you will create space in your mind. As you've talked, we talked last week about creating space. Free your mind of the emotions and the thoughts and the words so that you're then able to access inspiration and have more room for good things to come to you. Once again, this is Unleash Greatness. Go to unleashg.com for more. We are so grateful. I am so grateful you're here with us. And I just want to say thank you. Tune in tomorrow. We'll be talking to you soon. Thank you.